Hello, and welcome to the Stepping Into Your Calling podcast. It is time to ask yourself the questions you've been avoiding. Am I good enough? Why do I feel so sad? Am I doing everything I can do? Do they hate me? Is there something better for me out there? Whether you're a single woman trying to live a more joyful life, a married woman struggling in your relationship, or a mother trying to be the best parent you can be, this is the podcast for you. The Stepping Into Your Calling podcast is a live workshop style health and fitness podcast packed with actionable steps that will help you live a more fulfilling life. Host Sol Lagunas brings her knowledge as a registered nurse, mother of 3 children, wife, student, and faith-based leader to inspire you to step into your calling without fear. Hello and welcome back to the Stepping Into Your Calling podcast. This is Sol Lagunas, and I am ecstatic to share with you that I've launched a podcast series that consists of 5 episodes plus 2 bonus episodes. So in this series, we're going to be talking all things purpose, all things faith, all things relationships and parenting. I am ecstatic to share this project with a great friend, Erika Silva. If you don't follow Erika, please go onto Instagram. Her handle is at erica.k.silva. Get your pen, get your paper, and as always, this is for educational purposes only. Take what you need and leave what you don't. Let's dive in. Today, we're going to be talking about stepping into your faith. It's probably my favorite episode out of the ones that we have planned together. So I'm excited to hear what Erika thinks, but we're really going to be focusing more on building a relationship with God versus talking about religion. And there's nothing bad to say about religion. I think we grew up. I grew up as a Catholic. I don't know about you, Erika, but we grew up as Catholics. All my kids are baptized, and I have nothing against religion, but it's not really the reason why I started believing in God. Mostly it was because I started diving into my personal relationship with Him that I started seeing the miracles happen in my life. Erika, did you grow up in a certain Catholic or religion, I should say, home?
Yes, just like you, I was born and raised Catholic. All of my kids are baptized. I got married through, the Catholic church and all of that. But as same as you, I didn't start building my relationship with God until maybe around 5 or 6 years ago when I started to really question my faith
Mm-hmm.
and I guess just having that need to believe or to have that relationship with God, I think is what kind of gave me that urge to start looking for more answers as far as how can I feel better or how can I build a relationship with God
Mm-hmm.
that is more intimate.
Was there a specific moment or a specific time in your life where you knew that was that it was God's work, like that moment that changed your perspective on building a relationship with God versus just following the religion's protocols?
What made me look for him was just the feeling of being empty.
Mm,
I just felt like I had everything. I mean, I was married. I had my daughter, I think at the time. I felt like I was missing something, like my life had no purpose. I don't know if that makes sense. Like nothing was bringing me happiness and fulfillment, and I felt so alone and
yeah.
depressed and lost. I guess I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I can take this anymore. Like I feel I just felt so broken, and I just said, like, God, like, if you really exist, like, please help me, because I can't do this. Like, I am not happy. Nothing brings me that sense of fulfillment. And just by me, like, talking to him, I guess, and
Mm-hmm.
asking him questions, I would get the answers, like, to my questions in a song, or I was driving in the car and I would, like, see, like, the answer to what I was asking. And for me, that was just so crazy, because I never experienced nothing like that. I guess when I started to see that God was really listening and giving me the answers that I was looking, that was like an eye opener that made me to want to keep that going, to get to know him, or to build that relationship with him.
And as similar to you, I feel like when I felt the most unstable in my life, where I felt the weakest and the most vulnerable and empty, is when I realized that I needed someone who was stronger than anything I could think or imagine to keep
Hmm.
afloat, because
Yes.
things are going to happen. There's going to be struggles. There's going to be what the Bible says. There's going to be valleys before you get to the mountains, and you need to have something to believe in. And for
Absolutely.
me, that's God. Go back to episode number 7. That's when I talk about the relationship with God and how he helped me overcome my postpartum depression that I had when I found out that my son had Down syndrome. And I wanted to add to that children with Down syndrome are very prone to other types of diseases. So a lot of times they come with like heart problems, and at that time all that I wanted was to have a home birth. So I just want to just tell you how big is God, because he was born without any complications. He was born, without needing oxygen, without needing medical intervention, because we were at home. And
Mhm.
if he had needed those things, it probably would have been a very traumatic experience. And in talking with parents who have kids with Down syndrome, they remember that moms would get C-sections because the baby's heart rate was not where it was supposed to be. And when the baby was born, they had to take the baby away to go and do open heart surgery immediately, because otherwise they wouldn't have survived. And I know that God was present that night when I had him, because like I said, he was born without complications, and I was able to enjoy the first few hours in the comfort of my own home without monitors and without people like poking at me or poking him. That doesn't mean that we had a smooth first few days of life for him. He was admitted into the NICU shortly after that, but that in that moment, that I know God was present, and that's what made me believe just a little more. And what I thought that I needed to do is start going to church,
Mhm.
in order to really build my relationship with God. I thought that I needed to go to church every Sunday, that I needed to baptize him sooner than my other children, because if some health issues happened, then I wanted to know that he was baptized, because that's what I was told. That's what I
Yeah.
was taught to believe, that as long as you go to church, as long as you baptize your kids, they're going to be saved.
Yes.
In reality, and I don't want to shame anyone who does believe that, because you believe that for a reason. But personally, even after I baptized my kids and even after I would go to church, I still felt empty.
Yeah.
It wasn't like me going and getting my cup full. Sure, some sermons would touch me, but really what helped me to build that relationship was learning more of just him.
I think that the difference for me was is that, like you said, we are brought up, thinking we have to go to church and all of that. So for me was like, okay, if I'm not going to church like I'm supposed to, like, then I have no access, or I don't
Mhm.
deserve, you know what I mean?
Or you should
So
feel
for
ashamed going.
yes, exactly. So for me, I guess the biggest difference is that now I know I don't have to go to church in order for me to have God, because God is with me all day, every minute, every hour, every minute, every second. And He is available to listen to me, like at any time. So I think
Mhm.
that was the biggest shipment, that mind shiftment, that I wasn't just required to be in His presence only when I was going to church. Um, so I had to learn how to just read the Bible, because I never read the Bible before. I tried a few times, I think, but I never felt the connection. I don't
Mhm.
know why. Maybe I was just not ready. It was just it wasn't time. And but when I started just wanting to get closer to God, that's when I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna start. I'm just gonna start reading the Bible, and I'm gonna have faith that God is gonna help me. He's gonna send me everything that I need. I
Mhm.
just started reading. There were some things that I couldn't understand. I started looking for information on YouTube, Google. So that's when I started to like see a lot of people talking about, building that relationship, that it doesn't have to be like you can have a relationship outside of religion.
Yes.
And also because I know there's a lot of people who don't seek God or don't build that relationship with God because they just don't want to be part of a religion, because they don't want to have be part of the rules or whatever that case may be. And that makes me a little bit sad, because I feel like, God is there for everybody, but a lot of people do feel that they could only have access to him if they are part of a religion.
Yes. And another reason why I feel that a lot of people are hesitant to join the church or to have a relationship with God is because there's people walking around claiming to be Catholic, claiming to be Christian or Baptist, and they're doing horrible things, or
Yeah.
they are behaving in a negative way. And so people outside looking in, they're like, why would I want to be part of a religion that tells people to behave this way, or say that it's okay to be rude to the cashier at the store and da 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 da. Like some things are so simple. Like you would be so shocked to get to know someone who's part of church and then meet them outside and they're a completely different person. And that to me breaks my heart, honestly, because we're talking about being the living image of God and behaving in such a way that represents who God truly is. Those things break my heart. And I just want to say to the listener that you don't have to be part of a religion to have a relationship with God. And
Mhm.
I'm sorry if that you've encountered a rude person in your life that claims to be the child of Jesus, because let me just tell you, like, God, he doesn't condone their behavior. In other words, like it's not okay.
And the difference too that I have seen and that I could talk from experience is that Yes, we could say that, we are Catholic or Christians or Jehovah Witness or whatever, but there's a lot of people out there who go to church or are part of religion, but they really have never read the Bible, because I know I never did.
Yeah.
I was raised where my mom, we would go to church every Sunday and all of that, but I never opened a Bible. So I really didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what God was, who was Jesus, and what he stands for and what does he teach. So that's another misconception, because maybe there's people just going, to church, but they really don't know God in a deeper level, as far as getting to know him. Because once you start getting to know him and building that relationship, it just changes you. I mean, the way that you see the love that he has for us, all of his actions, all of his miracles, how he loves us regardless of what we do. I mean, how many times we make mistakes. I mean, every day, God knows how many mistakes I make throughout the day. And
Yeah.
even then, like, he's there and saying, I love you
Mm-hmm.
regardless. I accept you.
Mm-hmm.
I accept you for who you are. And I think that's the most beautiful thing that I have learned, that by building that relationship with God and getting to see who he is and everything that, he does for us, it has allowed me to act different and see people different. And and the biggest thing is just learning to respect people, whether they are in a religion or not. It doesn't matter. Like, we have to love people and respect people. And it's just, it changes you once you start to really get to know him.
Mm-hmm. And I was that person who would worry about everything, and I still
Exactly.
feel guilty about that once in a while, but it doesn't happen so bad to the point where I'm like hating going into a situation because I know, or I fear of the things that are going to happen. And that's
Yeah.
another thing that helps with building your relationship with God, is that your faith in him is so high, and it continues to develop to the point where you're not fearful of the little things, of the things
Yes.
that you cannot control. Because for a long time I was like, I need to know this, I need to have this, and I need
Oh my
you to do this, and I need you to have that. I was like,
goodness.
do do do, like I gotta get all my ducks in a row, and that would cause so much anxiety in my heart, and it would cause so much fear that I would cry, I would fall into some type of depression because I didn't have control over any of that. I don't even have control of what's going to happen to me tomorrow or what is going to happen to my kids tomorrow. So once I started really developing that relationship with God, I was able to just say, screw it all. I don't care. I leave it to you, God. You take care of us like you've been taking care of us for this whole time. And I'm not going to be scared anymore. And I'm not going to have fears anymore. I got to the point where I'm like, if you come to this house, we're not talking about negative stuff. We're not going to gossip.
Yes.
We're not going to talk anything about what's going on in the news, because I mean, we can all
Mhm.
watch that, right? So we don't watch
Yeah.
news in the house anymore. We don't talk about certain subjects at home anymore, or things like those little things. And that's because I knew that if I let these negative spirits come into my house, then I'm opening the door for more evil. And I said no more.
Yes.
Like, my relationship with God is sufficient enough for me to not be scared of what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yes, yes, Marisol. Oh my God, I was like the biggest control freak. Like I literally needed to have like birthdays planned like 3, 4 months ahead. Like I needed to have my life controlled, my relationships, and it just doesn't happen that way. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it creates a lot of problems. It creates a lot of disappointments, a lot of
Mhm.
pains, a lot of regrets. When you allow God to take over on the things that you have no control, I think that's the biggest opportunity to let him work.
Mhm.
Um, I know that, like, for example, right now I'm going through a season where I absolutely have no control of so many
Yep.
things, so many things. And my faith is just placed on God, right? But I feel like, oh my God, if this would have happened to me like a year ago, I wouldn't even be able to be okay.
Mhm.
But because I have built that trust, that faith, that relationship with Him, even when things are so crazy, like I am at peace and I am happy and I have joy. So I think that's the big difference when you have faith and when you have that relationship with God, that things are always going to happen, things out of your control, circumstances. But when you have a strong relationship with God, like things could be so wrong in the outside, but you learn how to be joyful and grateful, and you find yourself at peace. And sometimes I even tell like my husband, like, it's crazy because I have never felt so at peace, even though I have no control over so many situations that are happening. But that's what God does. Sometimes we go through really hard situations in order for us to realize that at the end of the day, nobody's gonna come to your rescue. It's only Him. you know,
Mhm.
He knows what we need, He knows where we're going. And sometimes the only way for us to see it is when we have to, or when He removes certain things from our lives in order for us to really get to see His miracles and how much He loves us and how much He is like there providing for all of our needs. Because if everything is always right, we really don't see Him, or we don't take the time to even spend time with Him sometimes.
Yeah, and you're always gonna make time for the things that are important to you. And
Hmm.
in whatever season that you're in, I know at some point in my life, God was not a priority. I did not seek to find him. I did not seek to build a relationship with him. And let me tell you, my life before him was very dark. I had so many problems. I had so many issues. And maybe it was just because I was trying to control every single aspect of my life. We're going back to trying to control everything, but we have zero control over the things that happen around us. The only thing that we have control over is how we behave, what we think, what we put in our own heads, the things that we tell
Our
ourselves.
reaction.
Exactly. Our reactions
Yes.
to the things that happen around us and outside from our home. And I did take a few notes as I was like going through the terms relationship over religion, faith over fear. And I did find a few things that I thought were really good, like golden nuggets I want to share with you. And this is from Joyce Meyer. I love Joyce Meyer. She's the best. So she basically said religion looks for God through works or efforts and behaviors. Just because you sit in church, it doesn't make you a Christian. Just like if you sit
Mhm.
in your garage for a year, that doesn't make you a car. And I love it because she makes it so relatable, you know? And that is so true. Just because you're going to church every single Sunday, that doesn't mean that you're a great Christian. Even though I would hope that if you are putting the effort to go into church every single Sunday, that you would be, you know? And she says, Christians, we have received Jesus Christ into our heart to be our Lord, to be our Savior. We believe He is the Son of God, God Himself, who took our sin upon Himself, who took our punishment, who died in our place, who rose from the dead, is seated in the right hand of the Father. And as we receive Him, He comes to be intimate and personal, to live inside of us, to help us with everything. So God wants to have a personal and intimate relationship with you. And I thought that was
Yeah.
beautiful.
And it changes
It
everything. It
does.
changes everything because like you could be having, a good day, a bad day, a really bad day, and you could just go into your room and just, if you don't want to pray, you could talk,
Mm-hmm.
you could cry, or you could even stay still in silence, and he is there, like,
Yes.
but the thing is that I didn't know that I have to invite him.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that he is gonna be there, because he give us freedom of choice. If we don't ask him to come into our lives, then he's not going to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just impossible. It's like, how are we gonna let someone into our lives if we don't open that door?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't let them know, you're welcome here. You're welcome to speak to me, to comfort me, to help me, to guide me. But yes, we definitely need to invite him, allow him to be with us. But it's a game changer because we could literally have access to him whenever.
I don't want you to get out of this episode thinking like religion is the worst thing that there ever existed, because it's not. It was a stepping stone into building my relationship with God. If you have a religion but you're not having a personal relationship or encounter with Jesus, it's not going to fulfill the peace that your heart needs or desires. If that makes any
Mhm.
sense.
If you are someone who goes to church regularly, I mean, that's great. You could do that, but don't forget to build that relationship outside of you going to church, because I think it will be more meaningful, and your life will be transformed if you allow yourself to get to know God outside only of you going to this place, to a
Yes,
church.
and what Erica was saying too that I thought was interesting, I want to talk a little bit about is if we're not letting him in, right? If we're not opening the door for him to come in and change our lives, he's going to continue to seek that relationship with you. He's a faithful God, and he's a God that pursues you throughout your life. And maybe you don't see that right now because you don't have a relationship with God, but I bet you there's been situations in your life that you're like, how did that happen? How did I come to find out that what we thought was cancer wasn't cancer? After you build a relationship, after you've gotten to know God, because once you get to know him, it's mind blowing. The things that it's almost like putting on a different set of glasses, right?
Yeah,
And it's
it's like opening your eyes, or for a blind person to see.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what to do, like, I would just talk to God, and I would be like, please send me a sign.
Yes.
And boom, it will be right there.
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask him. Ask him. Ask him to send you signs. Ask him to send you the people, because trust me, he will. I just can't even begin to tell you like all of the things that I say, I want this, I want this, I want, and then not in my timing, not when I want to,
Right.
right? Now I'm experiencing that. Things that I have asked him a year ago. Now people are showing into my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like things are happening. Don't be afraid to ask him for signs. Some signs you will get immediately, and some things we don't get right away because maybe we're just not ready. His timing is always so perfect, and he is not going to send us something that we're not ready for to handle.
Right.
Why? Because he's a loving father, just like we protect our kids, just like we know what they could handle. We want our kids' best interest is the same principle. Like he knows what we want, he knows what we need, he knows what we could handle. And he's not gonna send us something that is not gonna be good for us.
Yeah. I started watching Elevation Church back in 2020, and that's when my life changed. Pastor Furtick, he often says, like, you come here once a week to church and then you do whatever else outside of church. But really, the important thing is building that relationship, opening the Bible, getting to know him, getting to know how he is so that you're able to see how much he loves you, really, and that you're able to share that with other people. Share the love and the grace that God has given us. That's how I started my faith journey. I just turned on the YouTube channel. I didn't go to church anywhere, but I just would turn on the YouTube and watch the live stream of his sermon. And I started doing that, and then I liked the songs that were opening up when he would start preaching, and so I started listening to worship music. And then I went to worship concerts. I mean, it was just crazy. It was one thing after another. And I love podcasts. So if you can't catch the live stream on YouTube, he actually puts the sermon on his Elevation Church podcast. So there was times where I had to commute and I would pop it on and I would listen to the sermon that I missed on Sunday, because he knows that we are vulnerable to the things that happen around us. He knows that,
Mm.
maybe we got busy on Sunday, so we can listen to the sermon on Monday through the podcast, or maybe we could watch the replay on Wednesday night. Like, there's many forms that Elevation Church has been able to do just so that the message could get to us. I was so intimidated by the Bible. Like, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. I did not want to open it. And I was the one that was like, okay, wherever I open the Bible is what I have to start reading. And it would be like nonsense, right? Like, I would open it to the like most
I used,
complicated
I
verse.
used to, I used to do that too, and I would be like, I don't get it. Like, what does this mean?
Yes. Yeah. So
But that's beautiful because it shows that there is literally no right way to
there,
do it. Like, you just have to
yeah.
start. You just have to open up your heart and your mind and make that decision and say, God, I am here.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm available. I am here.
Yes. Yes. And truly that was how I started, and I finally got confidence in me to open the Bible and start reading. The first book I opened was Proverbs, and if you're trying to find a place to start, I would encourage you to start with Proverbs. Proverbs has 31 verses, so I would read one verse a day. Just contemplate and think about it and use my devotional to write down, or take notes on what I had read.
For me, devotionals help me so
Mm,
much. Help me so much to not overthink it or make it so complicated. But something else that I remember I used to do, I used to ask questions. Like you said, God is gonna pursue you, and you're gonna start seeing like I don't know, I mentioned to the this with Soul that I had a friend, and just the way that she was just different, you know,
Yes.
different. The way that she acted, her energy, the love, everything. So I just started asking questions like, "Hey, what church do you go? What religion? What this? Can you guide me?" Like, if I were to start reading the Bible, I legit asked my friend, if I want to start reading the Bible, how do I do it? Where do I start? And she was like, girl, just download the Bible app in your phone, and that's a baby step. Every day you're going to read the scripture or whatever message they're going to explain it. And it's an easy way for you to get introduced to it, you know, without you be feeling overwhelmed or dumb or anything. But just ask people who are around you that you look up to or
Mm-hmm.
that you like who they are, how they represent God. So I know that I did that with many people. I would ask them like, "Hey, can you tell me more about your your relationship with God?" And they would tell me, "Oh yeah, you need to read this, you need to read that, or focus on this book." And little by little, it's like I would start learning more, getting the hang of it. I would ask questions, and then they would guide me to something different. And slowly, like, you start to kind of find your own way.
When I first started, I didn't want to ask any questions because that was a toxic trait that I have, by the way. Like, I don't
Is
ask people
it?
for help, right? And little by little, God has been
Mhm.
like taking away that toxic trait and like breaking me apart. But that was my toxic trait. I didn't want to ask for help. So I was like a silent stalker, is what we call those people, where
Okay.
I would watch the person that was like mind blowing me with what she would talk about the Bible. And I would just watch her and be like, oh my gosh, she's so good. But I wouldn't ask her, like, how did you start? Like, where can I start? I would just watch what she was doing. And I think that's what I needed to do. Like, personally, that's what I needed to do. And then I would see, like, another person like post a biblical study and I would be like, can I please join? And they're like, of course. And then those things. But I was like a silent stalker where I will watch those people who are really impacting my life without knowing. They don't know, right?
Yeah.
And of course, as time would go by, I would be more comfortable and I would be like, hey, by the way, I just want you to know, like, you've changed my life because of your faith for God and your relationship with him is how I became to know him, or how I started, my relationship and building it with God because of you. And I would thank them. Do you have a specific like Bible that you use when you're reading the verses, or do you use like an app?
I do use the Bible app. That's something very quick that you could do every day. Again, I think it's less than, it's only like 2 to 5 minutes, something very quick. I do have a Bible, and the Bible that I have, I needed to find something that I was able to understand, to capture, what it was talking about. So actually, my Bible that I have right now is I found it at Sam's Club, and it's the One Step Closer Bible.
Okay.
That just to show you that I don't even know like all the different types that they are. I know that there's different, obviously, they have different languages, and maybe some words are described differently. So I guess at the moment it's just finding what something that you're able to understand. because I know my first Bible. I don't even know which one that was, but I couldn't understand it, like the words. So for me, that was making it more hard for me to like open up my
Yeah.
Bible and wanting to learn
Yeah.
about it.
So if you're a first timer in reading the Bible, I encourage you to buy the Everyday Bible by Joyce Meyer because
Mm.
she dissects the verses in the Bible. Like she dissects it to make them relatable to what's happening in your life right now. It's super easy to read. It's called The Everyday Bible by Joyce Meyer. Super easy to read, has paragraphs explaining the sermons or the verses that you just read. That way, you are able to, like, maybe you're taking notes as you're reading the Bible, but that way you can relate to what's happening. And it's so crazy how things happening, and in the times when Jesus was alive, like the things that are happening then are happening now, and just in a different
Yes.
time zone, I would say, in a different light. I would encourage you to buy the Everyday Bible. Another devotional personally that helped me so much. I love Candace Cameron Bure.
That's the Bible I
Okay.
have from her.
Yeah, yeah. So I love her, and she has devotionals. They're also available in Sam's. But
Yeah.
this devotional that I got, I received as a gift, and I didn't know how much it was going to change my life. But it's called 100 Days of Joy and Strength, and it's a devotional journal. So it's going to give you a prompt. It's going to give you a little message, and then it's going to ask you to make a prayer or write down a prayer. So if you're not a person that prays out loud, you can write down your prayers too, and just keep them safe somewhere where you put them away. And I did 100 days of joy and strength, and that had changed my life so much. But if you are not in the situation where you can go buy devotionals and Bibles, you can use the Bible app just like Erica is using it. I also recommend listening to the Bible recap podcast because they go through one verse a day, I believe, and they really dive deep and dissect the the verse to, like I said earlier, make it relatable to you and what's happening to you in your life right now.
I also used it is a Bible study. It's like two books. So basically, like you're reading each chapter, but they are asking you questions, so you are writing them. So that helped me a lot to kind of not just be reading without any type of context. Like that really helped me to like, oh, so this happened here, because literally it was like a test. You kept writing like this happened in this time, who this, like it walks you through the whole process of you reading the Bible. So that helped me so much, just finding a good Bible study so you could be going along with it.
Do you have a favorite worship song?
Oh my God, I love Elevation. And it's so crazy because we have so much in common, but I started watching Elevation Church. I think that was one of the first videos that I watched. I just kept watching them, and just like you, that's what I do now on Sundays. But I love Elevation Worship. I think that when I'm going through different things, I find like the perfect song that just stick with me. Like I know, like I have cried and like worked out like listening to worship music just when I need to like release. And there's songs where I just like, you just need to be in silence and just listening. But I love all the songs that they make at Elevation. I feel they are so good.
Yeah.
But right now, one that I have been listening to a lot is by Elevation Worship. The title is Available. I don't know if you have listened to it.
Available. My when I first started listening to Elevation Worship, the blessing was my favorite song. It was on repeat, and I would sing it because I would like either leave my kids would leave to work, I mean to school, or I would go to work and basically just listen to it so that I know that when I left them they would continue to be blessed. Another favorite of mine is The Waymaker, and it's not by Elevation, but it's by Leeland, I believe. And that song is so powerful, it will get you on your knees. It just describes just how capable God is of the changing the things that happen to you in your life. So go listen to Available, The Blessing, and Waymaker. Is there anything else that you want to touch on when it comes to stepping into your faith?
No, I think we cover mostly everything.
As a parent, you are the spiritual leader in your family. And you don't have to be a pastor or a clergy person. You, as a parent, you automatically qualify to be a spiritual leader of your household. And for women who
Absolutely.
are devoted and who are building an active relationship with God, but your husband isn't, it's okay too. Just continue to
Yes.
believe, continue to build your relationship with God. Behave in such a way that your husband, when he looks at you, he's touched by the actions that you have made and or the changes that you have made in your life that will encourage him to step into his faith as well.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen to that. I think that has been one of my biggest
Yeah.
testimonies that I didn't have to say anything because actions are louder than
Mhm.
words. If you get closer to God, you're going to start to think differently, act differently, definitely react to situations
Yes.
differently. When I focus on truly building the relationship with God, that changed my marriage, that changed the way that I talk to my kids, that changed
Mhm.
the way that I treat my friends. I mean, it's just like a 360. When you really focus on building your relationship with God, I can honestly tell you that your life will be transformed, and you don't even have to say anything because your actions will show
Yes.
how much you are changing, how much God is changing your mind. And sometimes one of my biggest prayers, I just ask God, like, please renew my
Mhm.
mind, please renew my heart, because we live in a world where we are being conditioned and told that we have to do certain things, that we have to like certain things, that we're supposed to be doing certain things. And for me, that brings a lot of anxiety, depression, feeling like I'm not enough. So that's one of my prayers that I'm constantly asking God, please help me to renew my
Mhm.
mind, for me to see things differently, for me to be able to focus on the things that truly matter. And once you start doing that, again, we go back to like things could be happening around you, but you're going to be
Yeah.
good. You're going to be positive. You're going to be at peace. And that's the biggest testimony that people are going to be like, but why is she so
Mhm.
positive? Like, why does she always look so happy? Or how can you get through your day, your good day, your bad days? Why? Because I have
Mhm.
God. Because God has been teaching me what's important, what truly matters. God, because my faith is in Him, because now I know that there's going to be things that are, I mean, it's life. Life is hard. But if you don't have a strong foundation, if you don't have faith, it's just like with any little trial, like your foundation is going to come down if you don't have anything to hold you through those
Mhm.
storms.
And not just your husband, right? But like you said, Erica, anyone around you. It can be your kids, it can be
Anyway, exactly.
your siblings, your parents, even. As long as you're a light.
Or people, even people on social media, like seriously, anyone watching you. You said how someone was sharing, their Bible stuff. Like you never know how you could change someone's life.
Yes. Yes. And in this dark, dark world, we need to be a light for other people so
Yes.
that they can see that there's more than sad days or struggles, and it's easier to say
Yeah.
it than for it to be done. But when you truly believe and when you're truly in a committed relationship with God, you will see those things happen. Building the foundation with Him, and that's going to be hard to destroy, you know? Thank you for being here. But I just wanted to say thanks again for sharing your thoughts on stepping into your faith.
Thank you, guys.
I am so happy you just finished listening to that podcast. If you don't mind, after this is done, go and rate the podcast. That's the only way more people are going to be able to get reached, more knowledge is going to be spread, and more lives are going to be changed. So if you don't mind doing that favor for me, I would appreciate you. I already appreciate you for listening to this podcast. I love you so much. Thank you for being such a great person and super supportive. I cannot wait for you to listen to the next one. Till then, have a good day.